Welcome to round 4 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of April 19th. I'm Terry Morrow, and I'm here with Catherine Haleko.
Hello.
And Nicole Eridix.
Hi there.
As moms of teens and young adults, we've survived those little kid days, yet we're still rethinking the decisions we've made all through our kids' lives and worrying about what's going on right now. Today's Thursday, which means it's time to give in to our obsessing. And today we're obsessing about, once again, the pandemic and its effect on kids, especially young teenagers. Nicole, I think you saw an article about this?
I did, yeah. Kind of caught my eye because it tells or encourages a different narrative of this pandemic that we've been going through and still going through. But it essentially says, like, you know, the term, you know, this has been a lost year has been used quite a bit to describe this past year for our kids and our students. And yeah, there's a lot of things that did not happen this year that our kids, you know, they just couldn't experience, like graduations and things, you know, just different things that they should have experienced but couldn't. So that's been the buzzword, right? The buzz phrase. However, this article says, well, there's also been it hasn't been all that lost. There have been some other things that have come out of it that our kids have learned and have worked for them. And that we need to be thinking that our kids, yes, it's taken a huge toll on their mental health, and it's going to take a long time to come out of this as a country or as a society. But it's also important to remember that kids are, for the most part, resilient, and maybe, you know, we can start trying to build our kids up and help them recover and see that there was some positives, I guess. You know, like it talks a lot about like how our brain can, you know, it can change and it can mold in different ways. And if we help our kids become more resilient, they'll be able to get out of this a lot easier. So, and that would start by looking at, you know, different things that have happened that haven't been that bad in a sense. So, yeah.
It seemed to me like it was, a lot of it was about looking at the positives of it and kind of praising kids for getting through it and for, you know, being resilient and for, you know, learning new things and being patient and, you know, just being flexible. I mean, I've talked about this before about how at my kids' school district, you know, these kids have been through so many changes. You know, I mean, you had to look at the calendar every single morning to know, are they going to school today or not? Yeah. And if they are, what's the schedule? You know, that's the time of class, the length of class, the which teacher they had. Everything was changing all the time. And I think this article was trying to make the point that, like, we need to, you know, appreciate that our kids got through all that and give them lots of praise for doing everything they've done, because it's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of, like looking back on just that, kind of helping them come out of this time period. And how do we do that as opposed to it, you know, all the negatives? We have to kind of pivot and now be that positive reinforcement, that positive kind of, let's move forward. Let's keep moving on. You know, like, let's keep moving on.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I could do better at this, you know, just I'm so focused on, like, what's not going well and what needs to be fixed and repaired. And how we're going to do that. And I need to also acknowledge, you know, the successes. Even if the success is like, you went to school today.
Right.
Yeah. The success is going to be like, are you going to have to really, really hunt for them or have spin things?
Right. In some cases, yes.
One of my side jobs is supervising student teachers who are learning how to, become teachers. And of course, this past year they've been online, right? And so for a lot of them, it's like, this isn't real teaching. This isn't a classroom. I don't feel like I'm getting the real experience. I don't feel like I'm going to be prepared when I leave. So I actually have to say to them, you have learned a lot. You have gained some valuable skills. You will be able to come out of this with the ability to do certain things that you might not normally would have developed or acquired. So you have to keep that in mind that not all is lost. Let's try and find the good in what's happened. There's a small amount of good in what's happened, but it's a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, for someone who's learning how to teach, I mean, the experienced teachers had to learn that too. They had to learn how to work online. And now these student teachers kind of have that skill already.
Yeah. So exactly. The way they handle Zoom and Google Classroom and flip between things and create slides. That's a pretty helpful to have. So, no, they've done really well. But yeah, so I think coming out of this, a way for us to recover and move forward is to not focus on all the negative stuff that's happened. Easier said than done, right?
Yeah. You feel so bad for the kids who've had important parts of their life taken away from them. And it's hard to put a positive spin on that, Too bad about your graduation, but look, you did this wonderful thing.
You learned how to use Zoom.
Yes, golly,
totally.
That's great. You weren't able to see your boyfriend for 5 months, but look, you learned how to do this thing online.
You'll appreciate it.
I remember in the earlier days just feeling so terrible for these kids, and then knowing that, that's not the spin you want to put on it. That's not what you want to ID them. You are the generation that lost all of these things. You poor things. Life will never be the same for you. Yeah, but they still did, Yeah. And with middle school kids, I still got to think there's a lot of middle school kids are going, can I just keep staying home? This is so much better. Because school is tough in those years. I remember how when my daughter started middle school, she was physically ill every morning before she went to school. And she probably would say, can I just Zoom that? Really? Yeah. That'd be awesome. There's so much unpleasant growing up that gets done in those years. So,
and the article was making the point that, because they are growing and changing so much, that's good. That's how come they're able to handle it. And it's not a lost year. They're right. They're so flexible and resilient. So,
yeah, definitely not calling it a lost year is a good idea, because you don't want to, you don't want them to feel sorry for themselves, even though they got a right to feel sorry for themselves. It's really kind of hard not to admit that.
Yeah. You don't want to deny them or deny us it's been a struggle. And for some people, it's been absolutely devastating. Yes. And how people are going to recover from this is going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
Overall.
It's going to be, at some point, maybe it'll be a badge of honor for them that they were the ones who were in school at this time. But this is what we need our Navy SEAL team to come and root out positive things to say.
We're really putting a lot of stock in these Navy SEALs.
See our Monday episode. And to all actual Navy SEALs, we apologize. We're just having a little fun, not at your expense.
All that you do.
You go be your awesome selves.
Yes. Thinking about my son going through all this, and he's younger, so he didn't miss graduation and proms and that kind of thing. But he is going to be the last class to graduate from his high school in the building that they're in, because they're building a brand new one. Which is the exact same thing that happened to me. And then I went to college, and there was one small chunk of this big dorm that I lived in, and it was the last piece that hadn't been renovated. So it was like the old crappy one. And all those things are like, you know, you talk about that for the rest of your life. Well, when I was in high school, we didn't have this nice building.
Right.
We just had the falling apart building. So I feel like that's the same kind of thing we're going for here eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have plenty of podcasts to look back upon and discuss how we looked at this pandemic. We've spent some airtime on it, as everyone has.
Yes, we have.
We're going to finish up for today and say that's it for today's round 4. Tune in tomorrow when we'll share our roundup of things we've been using or enjoying lately that we think deserve a shout out. Find all our episodes at parentingroundabout.com and talk back in the comments there on our Facebook page or on Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout Chat.